A zombie outbreak spreads rapidly inside the train, forcing everyone to either survive or die within seconds. The film opens in a quarantine zone near Jinnyang, South Korea, where every passing vehicle is stopped by medical teams and sprayed with disinfectant due to a biological outbreak caused by a leak from a biotechnology facility in the area. A driver passing through looks irritated as he is forced to stop, but the officers try to calm him down by saying it is only a precautionary measure and that the situation will soon be under control. After the disinfection process is completed, the man continues his journey, but not long after he is suddenly startled by a deer that appears in the middle of the road and ends up getting hit. Assuming the animal is already dead, he chooses not to think much of it and continues driving. However, shortly after he leaves, the deer suddenly rises again in an unnatural state with pale, white eyes and strange movements, indicating that it has been infected by a dangerous outbreak that will soon cause chaos. The story then shifts to the life of Seok Woo, a man who works at a financial company in an important position but is known for being overly focused on his job to the point of neglecting his personal life. His ambitious and selfish nature causes his family relationship to fall apart, leading his wife to leave him and move to Busan. Now, he lives in a luxurious apartment with his mother and his young daughter, Suan, who is around 10 years old. Their relationship feels distant because Seok Woo rarely spends time with her. This is shown when he gives her the same birthday gift he bought the year before, reflecting his lack of attention. Even so, Suan does not complain and only has one simple wish: to celebrate her birthday with her mother in Busan. She even firmly says that she will go by herself if her father refuses to take her, which eventually leads Seok Woo to reluctantly agree to take her on a train from Seoul to Busan.
시작하면 중간에 포기하면 안 되는 거야.
이거 웬일이야?
어딨냐?
기차 타셨어요?
Once they are on the train, unnoticed by the staff, a woman with suspicious behavior manages to board and immediately hides in one of the toilets. Her strange condition clearly indicates that she has been infected by a dangerous virus and will soon become a threat to everyone on board. The spread of the virus that has now reached Seoul actually began earlier, when infected animals started attacking humans and caused the virus to spread rapidly. As the train begins to move, Suan briefly sees from the window a station staff member being attacked in a very unusual way, but she does not get the chance to tell her father because Seok Woo is asleep. Not wanting to disturb him, Suan decides to go to the toilet by herself. In front of the toilet, a train staff member discovers a homeless man named Ji-ho hiding inside, repeatedly muttering disturbing things as if he knows what is about to happen. However, his words are not taken seriously and are dismissed as nonsense from someone unstable. Since the toilet is occupied, Suan looks for another one and accidentally encounters a strong-built man named Sang-hwa, who is waiting for his wife, Seong-kyung, in front of the toilet. She then continues searching, moving further away from her seat. Meanwhile, Seok Woo wakes up and begins to panic when he realizes his daughter is no longer in her seat. His anxiety grows even worse after he receives a call from a colleague informing him about strange attacks happening in Seoul, which is soon confirmed by television broadcasts, showing widespread chaos and panic among the citizens. Meanwhile, the situation inside the train quickly turns chaotic when the woman who had been hiding in the toilet finally transforms into a zombie and begins attacking the passengers around her. Panic spreads instantly, causing everyone to scramble for their own safety without caring about others, while Seok Woo runs through each carriage, desperately searching for his daughter. In the middle of the chaos, he clearly witnesses how the infected attack anyone nearby, and anyone who gets bitten turns into the same dangerous creature within moments. As the situation spirals out of control, Suan, who is not far from her father, calls out to him, and without hesitation, Seok Woo immediately grabs her and pulls her away from the carriage that is already overrun by zombies. As they try to move to a safer place, tension arises between Seok Woo and Sang-hwa because Seok Woo shuts the carriage door right when Sang-hwa and his wife, Seong-kyung, are about to enter, a decision driven by panic and pressure from other passengers who fear infection. Before things can calm down, Seok Woo receives a call from his mother, who, in a panicked state, tells him that she has been infected, forcing him to hold back his shock and grief amid the growing chaos. At the same time, the train operator announces that the train will not stop at Cheonan Station due to unsafe conditions, although a passenger named Yeon Suk insists on stopping there. Meanwhile, media broadcasts begin showing that the outbreak has spread across nearly all regions of South Korea, making it clear that the disaster is far beyond control.
현명한 자세로
가정 폭력 시위는 점차 자자들 경찰 버스를 부수고 지붕 위에 올라타 적으로 마비되었고 일부 시위대.
Shortly after, the operator announces that the train will stop at Daejeon Station, where military personnel will secure the passengers. Hearing this, Seok-woo quickly contacts his acquaintance, Lieutenant Min, to confirm the situation, and learns that everyone arriving there will be quarantined. Taking advantage of his connections, Seok-woo asks for help so that he and his daughter can be taken somewhere safer upon arrival, and the request is accepted with instructions to wait on the east side of the station. When the train finally arrives, Yeon-suk, who turns out to have significant influence within the train company, urges the operator to immediately continue the journey to Busan, believing it is the only safe city with open routes, while the operator still tries to fulfill his duty to help the passengers at the station. However, any hope of safety collapses the moment the passengers step off the train and enter the station, as the soldiers who were supposed to protect them have already turned and begin attacking everyone in sight. Chaos breaks out completely, with people running in panic in every direction. In the middle of this, Soo-an is almost attacked, but Sang-hwa quickly saves her by pulling her away from danger, while Seong-kyung immediately takes Soo-an back toward the train. On the other side, Seok-woo and Sang-hwa are forced to separate from the others as they try to hold back the zombies by closing a glass door. But their effort does not last long because the overwhelming number of zombies eventually shatters it. Now, only Seok-woo, Sang-hwa, and a young man named Yong-guk remain, desperately trying to catch up with the moving train. With the last of their strength, they manage to get into carriage number 9 and immediately try to contact their loved ones. Yong-guk successfully reaches his girlfriend, Jin-hee, who is in carriage 15 with other survivors, while Sang-hwa also tries to find out his wife's location. From this, they learn that Seong-kyung, Soo-an, an elderly woman named In-gil, and Ji-ho are trapped in carriage 13, which is filled with zombies. Seong-kyung, Soo-an, In-gil, and Ji-ho are forced to hide inside a toilet to avoid being attacked. Realizing the situation, Seok-woo, Sang-hwa, and Yong-guk make a desperate decision to push through several zombie-filled carriages in order to reach carriage 13 and rescue them. What seems like an impossible situation suddenly turns into an opportunity when the train enters a tunnel, plunging the entire train into complete darkness. In that condition, they realize that the zombies cannot see properly in the dark, and they immediately take advantage of this moment to move carefully and strategically. Using this chance, Seok-woo and the others finally manage to reach carriage 13 and reunite with Soo-an and the remaining survivors. Without wasting time, they quickly plan their next move to reach carriage 15, which is believed to be relatively safe. Yong-guk contacts Jin-hee and tells her that they are still alive and on their way to that carriage. However, that hope does not last long, as Yeon-suk, who is inside carriage 15, strongly refuses to let them in, claiming he fears they might be infected, and through his influence, he successfully provokes the other passengers to shut the door and block their entry. Under pressure, Seok-woo and the group are forced to face danger once again as they pass through carriage 14, which is filled with zombies. Taking advantage of the remaining darkness from the tunnel, they carefully move across the overhead luggage racks above the seats. After a tense struggle, they finally reach the door of carriage 15, only to be met with the harsh reality that it has been locked from the inside by passengers who have been influenced by Yeon-suk. Even Jin-hee, who wants to help, is restrained and prevented from opening the door. With the situation growing more desperate, Yong-guk struggles with all his strength to break through, while Sang-hwa and Seok-woo fight desperately to hold back the approaching zombies from behind. After an intense effort, they finally manage to force their way into carriage 15, but the victory comes at a heavy cost as they lose two people, the elderly In-gil and Sang-hwa, who sacrifices himself to buy time for the others to survive. In his final moments, Sang-hwa continues to protect everyone and even gives a name for the child his wife, Seong-kyung, is carrying. After successfully entering Carriage 15, Seok-woo can no longer hold back his emotions and vents his anger at Yeon-suk, whom he sees as the cause of the rejection and chaos. However, instead of realizing his mistakes, Yeon-suk once again manipulates the other passengers under the excuse of safety, leading to Seok-woo, Suan, Ji-ho, Seong-kyung, Young-guk, and Jin-hee being forced to move to the front, specifically to Carriage 16, supposedly to ensure the safety of the other passengers. After they move, the passengers along with Yeon-suk immediately lock the door between Carriage 15 and 16, making sure they cannot return, treating them as if they are a threat that must be isolated. While the passengers in Carriage 15 believe they have secured themselves, they are unaware that Young-gil, the younger sister of In-gil, is overwhelmed with grief and anger after seeing her sister get infected because they were not allowed to enter earlier. Her frustration toward the inhumane behavior of the passengers leads her to make a reckless decision, secretly opening the door connecting to Carriage 14 without anyone noticing. This action instantly allows the zombies to enter and attack, causing the infection to spread rapidly throughout Carriage 15 and throwing everything into uncontrollable chaos. The situation quickly collapses, leaving only Yeon-suk and a male conductor who manage to survive by hiding inside a toilet, while the others fail to escape. From the front carriage, Seok-woo and the others can only watch helplessly as everything unfolds. In the midst of that situation, Seok-woo receives a call from his subordinate, Mr. Kim, who reveals that the outbreak originated from a project they were working on, YT Biotech, which had suffered a leak. This revelation leaves Seok-woo overwhelmed with guilt, realizing that he had unknowingly played a role in the disaster that has taken so many lives. The train eventually comes to a stop at Daegu Station, and not long after, the train operator makes an announcement over the speaker that the journey cannot continue because the track ahead is blocked, instructing all surviving passengers to get off and transfer to another train that is considered safer. With no other choice, the passengers quickly exit through the left side doors, hoping to distance themselves from the threat as soon as possible. However, the situation once again turns chaotic when another train suddenly approaches and crashes in the area, causing a violent collision that worsens the conditions and separates the group trying to survive, including Young-guk and Jin-hee, who become separated from Seok-woo and the others. In a state of panic and confusion, Young-guk and Jin-hee try to find a way to reunite with the group, but in the middle of their attempt, Yeon-suk suddenly appears and deliberately pushes Jin-hee toward the pursuing zombies, causing her to become infected. The incident leaves Young-guk devastated and in disbelief, while Jin-hee, who has been bitten, slowly begins to lose consciousness and turns against him. After leaving them behind, Yeon-suk once again focuses on saving himself by searching for another train, but his attempt is interrupted when he falls and becomes surrounded by zombies closing in on him. The train operator, who sees the situation, tries to help, but once again Yeon-suk sacrifices someone else in order to escape. Meanwhile, Seok-woo, along with Suan, Seong-kyung, and Ji-ho, finds themselves in an equally dangerous situation, trapped between derailed train cars that have tilted and created a narrow space beneath them. Although they are not completely crushed, the position makes it extremely difficult to move. In this critical moment, Seok-woo spots a small gap that could serve as a way out, but the situation becomes even more dangerous when the zombies begin breaking through the train windows. Realizing that not everyone can escape easily, Ji-ho makes a crucial decision to sacrifice himself by holding back the zombies so the others can survive. Thanks to his sacrifice, Seok-woo, Suan, and Seong-kyung manage to escape and continue chasing the train that has started moving away from the scene. With the last of their strength, they struggle to climb back onto the train. However, the danger is not over yet, as inside the driver's cabin, Yeon-suk is already there, now fully turned into a zombie after being bitten earlier. Yeon-suk immediately attacks violently, forcing Seok-woo to stand at the front and face the most dangerous situation in order to protect his daughter and Seong-kyung. With the strength he has left, Seok-woo manages to overpower him and throws Yeon-suk off the train, although in the process he is also bitten, worsening his condition. Even after being infected, Seok-woo struggles to remain conscious and uses his final moments to explain to Seong-kyung that she must pull the brake when they reach Busan, ensuring that the journey can end safely. After that, fully aware of what is about to happen to him, Seok-woo closes the door to the driver's cabin to prevent himself from becoming a threat to Suan and Seong-kyung. The farewell becomes deeply emotional as Suan sees her father slowly changing and cannot hold back her tears, begging him not to leave her. In that moment, Seok-woo finally realizes his mistakes as a father, acknowledging that he had always been too focused on his work and never gave enough time to his family. Before completely losing his consciousness, Seok-woo jumps off the train. Now only Suan and Seong-kyung remain, continuing their journey toward Busan. When the train finally stops at a tunnel that has been blocked, they get off and continue on foot through the dark passage. Unbeknownst to them, at the end of the border, several soldiers are stationed and prepared to face any possible threat. At first, the soldiers assume that Suan and Seongkyong are a danger and prepare to shoot, but the situation changes when Suan begins to sing in memory of her father and those who sacrificed their lives. The song becomes a sign that they are still human, and the soldiers finally realize the truth and quickly escort them to a safer place, bringing the story to an end.